So do you think he's going to get significant damages? Do you think that money is shoot for the sky and get what you get?
It's hard to put a value on it at this early juncture, but it's considerable. You know, two top executives resigned in disgrace when they removed the slander, and yet the BBC still claims it wasn't defamatory, which is absurd. They knew it was wrong. And, you know, equally ludicrous is their insistence that, oh, there's no institutional bias at the BBC. Really? Take a look at their own internal memo from their standards advisor exposing the newsroom for its pervasive liberal bias, corrupting the network's reporting. You know, I was in Europe recently. I tuned into the BBC. It was totally one-sided. The BBC needs a house cleaning desperately. And, you know, they need to empty the newsroom of all the faux journalists who peddle their agenda and refuse to be consistently fair or objective.
How far will you push it? Because they haven't offered, our understanding is they've offered no money whatsoever. They've apologised in a letter, but they haven't offered you a penny in compensation. There was this figure of $1 billion that you may be pursuing.
I think I have an obligation to do it. Look, I'm not looking to get into lawsuits, but I think I have an obligation to do it. This was so egregious. If you don't do it, you don't stop it from happening again with other people. I think you probably have an obligation. I'd like to find out why they did it. You know, it's so bad.
Yeah.
Who thinks like this? And I wonder if they've done it. We'll find this out. You know, the nice part about litigation is we'll find out how many times have they done it to other people. Maybe they did it to me quite a bit.
I want to go to the BBC and Trump and the threats of legal action. I've been talking a bit about this issue in the program already, but in terms of the BBC, they're hitting back at the legal threats?
They are indeed, Chris. Look, they're saying they've made the apology to President Trump, but they won't be paying any compensation. Now, I've spoken to several legal experts here in the UK. There's been a lot of commentary around this, basically saying that he's not entitled to these $5 billion in damages because the documentary never aired in the US. It was geo-blocked and there wasn't significant harm caused to him. But look, Chris, this has really hurt the BBC. They've lost their Director General, Tim Davey, their head of news, Deborah Turness, and they're a broadcaster under siege at the moment. And just this week also, there's a new book out, Diana Rama, which looks at that Panorama interview that was obtained deceitfully by Martin Bashir.
Wow.
So the scandals surrounding the BBC, Chris, they're just not subsiding here.
Now, Donald Trump has said he will be pursuing legal action against the BBC after they deceptively edited his January 6th speech. Trump has already secured multiple 8-figure settlements over the past year from media outlets, from ABC, American ABC and CBS, as well as major social media platforms, Josh, X, Meta, which has Facebook and Instagram, and also YouTube. How do you see this latest clash progressing. I think the UK's defamation laws are far harsher than what's in place in the US. Could he be looking at another massive payout here?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. In the UK, defamation law is extremely strict. Actually, Rita, I know this very much firsthand because during some of the riots in the UK just over a year ago, there was a horrific murder of young English children at a dance studio from a Rwandan, if memory serves there, and there were all these riots, then counter riots there. And I made a somewhat anodyne tweet about two-tier Keir Starmer, and a friend of mine who is a British lawyer over in London messaged me on WhatsApp, and he said, Josh, you probably should take that tweet down. And I was like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, this is America. I have free speech. And he was like, actually, under British law, that's probably defamatory. So, you know, for the record, I did not delete the tweet. I did not capitulate to Britain's utterly Orwellian defamation system. But to your point, yeah, defamation is a lot easier in the UK, certainly than in the United States, where we have a slightly higher threshold, especially for so-called public figures. So potentially the BBC could be in a world of hurt here. Now, having said that, there are any number of left-wing judges in the British judiciary, many of whom are probably deeply antagonistic to Donald Trump. Probably many of them, frankly, just utterly hate the guy. It's not that dissimilar, frankly, from a lot of our own American judges who invariably suffer in these lower court random judgeships in Hawaii and New Hampshire and whatnot there. They oftentimes suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. I presume it's probably the same across the pond over in the UK as well. So I would caution against necessarily saying that this is a slam dunk case, but given Donald Trump's track record in successfully suing for defamation and various other media outlets, as you correctly note, and given the fact that defamation law is such a lower bar when it comes to being the plaintiff in British law, I don't know, Rita. I happen to like his chances. I definitely would not want to be in the BBC's legal position right now. That's for sure.
Well, he's already secured these 8-figure settlements. And are the proceeds of those settlements going towards the ballroom? Is that accurate? Because this BBC one could pay for the whole thing, possibly.
Yeah, so the judgments go to different things. So one of them, I think, was the ABC settlement. Actually, is going to help construct the Trump Presidential Library. Actually, after Donald Trump's presidency, which is it's just so thoroughly delectable, isn't it? That ABC, which you know did about as much as any other network to try to throw the 2024 election to Kamala Harris with their horrific debate performances and whatnot there. And now they're going to subsidize the Trump Presidential Library. So on the one hand, it was that. I do think I heard that one of these judgments might be subsidizing the People's Ballroom there in the East Wing of the White House there, but it depends on the judgment. But it's frankly, from an American taxpayer perspective, Rita, I just love it because these media outlets are frankly the enemy of the people, and they should be made to pay as such.
I think there's not much sympathy for these media outlets at all, or the social media outlets.